doing a podcast, guys?
Is it rolling, Bob? Podcast happening? It's actually happening.
Okay. All right. Welcome to the very first episode of the Blue Bard Cage podcast. I am Justin, and along with me is Chris. Hi, Chris.
Hello, Justin.
And joining us via Google Hangout on the iPad in front of me is Eddie.
Hi, everyone. That didn't sound very heterosexual, did it?
You were unenthused, is what it sounded like to me.
You need to get excited.
Get excited about this because this is the inaugural edition of the Blue Bard Cage.
I am sure it's going to go really.
This
smoothly.
is swimmingly. That's.
I'm gonna sell my excitement like Shawn Michaels versus Hogan at SummerSlam.
Oh wow!
Yes, I'm so excited, guys.
Well,
yes.
You know that's
pretty exciting, man.
That's yeah.
All right, so on the Blue Bard Cage podcast, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a lot of current stuff, and we're also, each episode, we're going to take an old pay-per-view available on the WWE Network for the low price of, Chris?
$9.99.
That's right.
What was that?
$9.99.
I'm sorry, what was the price again?
$9.99.
That's only $9.99 a month, guys. Anything available on...
$9.99, the upside down beast.
All right, so
upside down
what Justin was trying to say is that we'll be reviewing a classic pay-per-view as well as talking about current events and possibly current predictions, and at some point we will have a quiz each week.
We've got a lot of fun segments I think we're going to be doing in upcoming episodes.
I think we're really fun.
I think it's going to be pretty fun. And joining us in the room, although he is not probably going to talk, is our producer / editor Brian, who knows nothing about wrestling and does not care. So his reactions are going to be some of my favorite part as he laughs at completely out of context things over in the corner.
Hey guys.
There's Brad.
There he is.
There's Brad.
Hey guys.
Hey guys.
Hey guys.
Okay. So today on the podcast, in a little while, we will be discussing our first pay-per-view, which is the very first In Your House event from May of 1995.
And it is a doozy.
That is a good way to describe.
A double doozy, if you will.
That's a good way to describe that as a double doozy of something.
It's an interesting one, definitely. It's a weird time for wrestling. Now we should probably go before we get too far into it. We should say that Eddie and I have a soft spot for the new generation era, which a lot of people
times it was the worst of times.
Yeah,
also the best.
A lot of people shit on the new generation era, and they have some very valid points. It was a weird time, but I think Eddie and I both grew up. That was...
The good thing about you guys having a soft spot for that is, while you were tuning into New Generation, I was absentmindedly tuning into Hulk Hogan facing the Dungeon of Doom over in WCW, so that gives us two separate perspectives.
Sure.
Two eras at the same time, two companies. So, I can just randomly try to make fun of you guys and then realize that I was just watching WCW, so I was way worse off.
Exactly, because in the end, we saw the young superstars of the new generation become some of the greatest wrestlers of all time, while the retreads in WCW in the end led to part of the downfall of the company.
Already taking pot shots at my beloved WCW is Eddie.
This is
what's around?
This is the kind of quality discussion that you can look forward to here on the Blue Bard Cage podcast. It's Chris and Eddie taking shots at each other over which was worse, Diesel versus Mabel, or Hulk Hogan versus the Dungeon of Doom.
Hulk Hogan versus the Dungeon of Doom. Just wait until we get into a Shawn Michaels Bret Hart feud. You will think Montreal screw job.
I mean, not everybody can be the greatest wrestler of all time.
That's right. Not everyone can be Bret Hart. You are correct.
Nobody wants to settle for second best.
And yet Shawn Michaels has for years.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's put the gloves back on. Today we're going to be talking about In Your House 1 from 1995. And before we get into all that, we are recording this. SummerSlam is a week from today, so this episode will be out before SummerSlam. So we thought we would go ahead. We'll run down the card, talk about the card a little bit, and maybe make some predictions. See who comes out on top as far as predictions goes after the show. Have you got the card in front of you there?
I do have the card in front of me here, thanks to Cage Side Seats. That is Cage Side Seats. Thank you guys very much.
Or any website that has SummerSlam talk.
That's true.
Or Google.
Like Wikipedia or Google. But yeah, Cage Side Seats is good too.
Let's not start with the main event on this SummerSlam.
No, let's start kind of toward the bottom and we'll move our way up. Okay, well all right, you want to do that one?
Yes.
All right, let's talk about are you enjoying this, Eddie?
Oh yeah, I'm loving it, guys. I'm loving it.
All right, so I guess the first match we'll talk about is Rusev versus Jack Swagger in a flag match.
Yeah, that is a flag match. Do not forget that is a stipulation.
When is the last time we had a flag match? I don't even.
Was the Cold War still going?
The best flag match though is what Bret Hart, Del Wilkes.
Oh,
I do remember that one.
The Patriot.
The Patriot. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll agree to that.
I know there's been one after that,
but I'll agree with Eddie saying that was the best one.
I do believe Bret Hart won that one, right? In Canada?
I think so.
In America's hat, he did win that.
Now
we might have some Canadian listeners here after a while. We don't want to.
Canada, trust me when I say that I love your country and I would move to Toronto in a heartbeat. So let's just get that out of the way.
Right.
But
so Eddie,
Rusev, Swagger.
Eddie, thoughts, predictions. Rusev versus Jack Swagger in a flag match. Who do you got for this one?
I got Rusev. You know he's getting the undercard heel push right now. You know he's going to end up probably doing a run at the headliner in a pay-per-view soon.
Well, you know, he seems... and I like Rusev. I do.
He's like Umaga.
I think he's got a good look, but I think he's sort of...
Umaga.
He seems like the monster heel of the year. You know, it seems like kind of every year they have a sort of... and it always goes sort of the same way. Like last year it was Ryback. You know?
Yeah, but to be fair to young Rusev...
Young Rusev.
He seems to be a little more protected than Ryback so far. Hopefully they won't just randomly insert him into the main event like Ryback was. And I agree with Eddie. I think that for my prediction, I'm going to pull Rusev. That's the card I'm going to pick. Not because I don't like Jack Swagger, but I think that they're probably setting Rusev up for some kind of bigger match. And when I say that is a pun intended because somehow they'll throw the Big Show at him.
I am glad though that they haven't buried Swagger during this feud. Like it's at least been interesting.
Yeah, it really has been, and it's had a very old school feel to it. You know, it's had a very 80s, the kind of nationalistic.
Watch out, it's political.
Yeah. I'm gonna differ from you guys, and I'm gonna go ahead and say I think Swagger is going to win this, and my reasoning is that I think a flag match is a good match to have Rusev take his first loss. So A, he doesn't have the stigma of an undefeated streak, like kind of, you know, hanging over him.
Dallas?
Oh, like our beloved Bo Dallas?
Yeah. And I think that a flag match is a good way for him to lose without being made to look weak, without having to tap or take a pin. So I'm gonna say I think Swagger's gonna win.
So do you think it'll be a clean win, or do you think it'll be a dirty finish?
Ooh. Yeah, are you feeling like Rusev might get disqualified?
I mean, Cesaro's not doing anything, and maybe he's a real American again.
Refresh my memory. In a flag match, is it a no DQ match?
More or less, I do believe.
Oh,
because I mean the whole point.
And a lot of those gimmicky matches, I mean, there's really no rules.
Yeah. I say Swagger will win it clean. That's what I'm gonna say. If they want to, and I think it's a good idea probably to keep them face Swagger and
I actually prefer them face.
I think it's working really well as long as they don't, as long as they drop the whole kind of xenophobic
Yeah,
and they don't need to have like an entire change of character, because I don't like when they do that either. Like it's all of a
Just
sudden
stop talking about it.
all of a sudden we're good guys and we feel totally different. That's just unrealistic.
Well,
but
I like-
maybe just and they haven't really done it except for the promo on Del Rio on Main Event last week. If
I just really like the approach that they took with Coulter of, I may not love everything this country does, but by God, it's my country, and I'm not going to have someone come in here and make fun of it. That makes perfect sense for his character, because that fits right in. That was a good move. I would like to throw this over to Brian and ask him who he thinks is going to win, Rusev or Swagger. Brian,
Swagger, who you got?
Are there any like twin wrestlers still?
Okay, that's all from Brian.
That's all from Brian. Yeah, that was a good.
All right, that was good.
Good
what
prediction.
Did he even say?
He asked if there were
twins.
twin wrestlers, and we're not to that yet. So,
twin wrestlers?
Yeah, man, like Super NES Royal Rumble
You're not
had a
coming
really
through the
good twin
headphones.
wrestler team,
and
they seemed pretty cool.
that's going to be later in the card, Brian. In the Brie Bella versus Stephanie McMahon match.
They are not twins either.
But Brie Bella has a twin sister named Nikki.
Okay, let's
My
not
money's
going
on
to
the
get into
twins.
Well, let's not
explaining
get
wrestling
into
basics
that.
to Brian.
So,
And then there's Jacob and Eli Blue. They're really twins too.
Yeah.
okay, so
Managed by Zeb Coulter.
Zeb Coulter.
Zeb Coulter.
Look what I did. I brought it full circle.
Oh, you really brought us back on track, Eddie. Thank you for that.
Well, let's
Okay,
move
what do
on.
we got?
Welcome.
Let's
That's what I'm
move
here
on
for, guys.
What do we got
to
next?
the next match, and I'm going to move on to Bray Wyatt versus Y2J, Chris Jericho, Cool Dad himself.
I gotta go with Wyatt. I think 100% Wyatt's going over. So
I want Wyatt. I believe in Wyatt. I think he's the next real big thing in WWE, not named Roman Reigns. But after that last pay-per-view where Jericho won it completely clean, I don't really know if they have a direction for him. Kind of like JR recently said on the podcast that Wyatt's a tweener, and they really have no place in the business where they're doing heel things and getting babyface pops. They don't really go anywhere. They kind of reach a place of stasis.
well, I think
I don't know if that's where he's at now for some reason.
I think opinions on Jim Ross's podcast could be an entire episode on themselves, because I want so badly to like it, but yeah, we'll talk. Well, that'll be
Okay, well, before I make my
Well, I
prediction,
kind of agree with him. I agree with him is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
I want Bray to win, but I don't know if he's going to, especially after just Y2J won so cleanly last time.
See, I think the idea of taking Harper and Rowan out, I think is going to make, when Bray wins, he needs a win without help, because the only match he won in the Cena feud was that steel cage match where
With the singing child,
Which-
it was terrible.
I don't even know what that was.
That was pretty bad.
My question is Jericho scheduled for Night of Champions, or is he off with Fozzy at that point?
I think he might be at night. If he is at Night of Champions, that will be his last.
If Jericho is booked for Night of Champions, I'm going to go out and say that Jericho takes this match, and it comes down to a blow off for some reason. Even though two guys haven't won, I would say Chris Jericho. I almost feel like Chris Jericho might win either way, because they don't know what to do with Wyatt, and they've misused him a lot, and the Wyatt family in general picks up a lot of losses for some reason, which I think is the wrong way to establish these guys as major heels.
This is weird because Chris and I are agreeing on two things. Basically,
this is unprecedented. It's like
Yeah,
the first
really,
thing
first
ever on
thing.
the podcast we're doing.
like listeners won't know this, but in real life, weird.
Is this not real life?
Is this
not
not
real
real
life?
life? Is this
No, I don't
podcast
think
kayfabe?
Oh yeah, my kayfabe alter ego Todd hasn't shown up yet, so
Oh, but I'm sure he will. Okay, so I'm
Okay.
going with Wyatt, and the two of you are going with Jericho. So,
yeah.
all right.
Well, let's
Unfortunately, Jericho.
move on to the next.
Unfortunately, Bon Jovi.
I should preface that by saying I do love Jericho.
I love Y2J, and he gets all the cool dad points in my book.
He's the
and
ultimate cool.
I used to love him. Used to.
And let me be honest with you that I actually own Fozzy records. And
I would
hate them.
I don't think you should admit that.
It's okay.
You and Jericho's family.
Chris Jericho,
Yeah,
if you ever hear this
welcome.
podcast, I own your records. I can play bass or guitar if you need a fill-in for the tour.
Please stop.
And just in case somebody in Stuck Mojo gets sick.
All I'm saying. Let's move on to another match so we don't spend too much time on SummerSlam.
Sure.
Divas Championship match, AJ Lee versus Paige. Justin, your thoughts on this match?
I'm gonna go with AJ. I think AJ retains.
Yeah.
But I'm really, really enjoying the AJ Paige story. Paige's character is, I loved her down in NXT when she was the anti-diva, and then they brought her up and kind of neutered her, for lack of better phrasing. But I mean, she came up as kind of like a boring babyface version of herself.
The heel version of Paige is like 3,000 times better.
It really is.
Oh yeah, this is the most attention I've paid to the women's division in wrestling in a long time. And the matches are really, really good.
And that right there is it, because they're actually wrestling, and there's an actual storyline that doesn't involve them fighting over a guy or
getting in a bra and panties match.
Yeah, these two women can flat out wrestle. That's what it comes down to.
And they have some killer finishing maneuvers that are submission moves.
Yeah,
man, that Scorpion crosslock that Paige does.
And guys can't do those. Guys just can't do those.
No,
I don't remember anyone doing this.
Very interesting.
I don't remember anyone doing the Scorpion crosslock except for Bull Nakano. I mean, I'm sure someone has, but that's the only person that off the top of my head I can think of.
Well, Eddie, who do you have for this match then?
I'm gonna pick Paige just because I think it'd be nice to see maybe a quick title change back, and then maybe another title change again, maybe around Royal Rumble or something. Because I think this feud's got legs.
I agree. I agree with that, definitely.
I am going to go with Justin on this one and go with AJ Lee, only because I think they want this to at least go on to Night of Champions, and I know that they're trying to make Night of Champions a bigger pay-per-view because of the re-up for the network, which is only, say it again with me guys, $9.99. I think AJ Lee takes this one, but that doesn't mean it's not a great match, and it doesn't mean there's a lot of back and forth near falls. So
it'll be fun. Fun.
I think it'll be a great match. I have some high hopes for it.
So moving on, once again, Intercontinental Championship match. Dolph Ziggler, the show off, versus Hollywood Miz.
I want to preface this by saying I'm really enjoying Hollywood Miz. I think that's the role he was born to play. Just the dude with the most punchable face in the world.
That is the truth. I cannot stand the Miz, and that's because he's doing his job, as Eddie and my friend David Modulewski always says.
Yeah, it's just he's so annoying, and it's not to the point where I'm like, you're a bad guy and I like it. It's that I just want to turn the channel. That's how I feel about the Miz.
However, that is not to say that the matches that they have had, Dolph Ziggler and the Miz, recently have not been good.
Have they fought recently?
Yeah, they fought on Raw 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And Ziggler got the win.
That's right. That was yeah.
Well, Ziggler's good though. I mean, Ziggler can work.
Ziggler can make almost anybody look good. Is the thing.
Oh, easily.
As far as their match goes, as much as it breaks my heart to say it, I'm gonna probably go with the Miz. I think I would love to see
absolutely
and a discussion about how I wish they would elevate both the U.S. and the Intercontinental titles, make them feel important. I could go do a whole episode about that topic, but I would love to see them put the belt on Ziggler and have it go somewhere. But I'm gonna say the Miz retains.
Well, I'm gonna go with Eddie's track from the previous match that I think that yes, the Miz does retain, and that they draw this out until somewhere around Royal Rumble with Ziggler getting the title change around there.
That's so far though. They're not gonna drag this feud out for.
Have you met the WWE?
Months.
Have you met the WWE?
They're not going to drag that out until the Royal
Rumble's
in January.
Actually, what I'm afraid of is that Miz will retain, and they will job out Dolph Ziggler, and somehow we'll get a Miz Sheamus feud to unify the belts. Which theoretically, I see how that could be a good thing, but that could also be the worst matches we've ever seen.
That's not.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I'm going to go with the Miz begrudgingly. I think Ziggler is a fantastic wrestler, He's really, really entertaining to watch in the ring, but he needs to revamp his character before he ever gets a solid push.
Ziggler?
Just a revamp, not like changing the whole thing, but he needs to get with it. He's very 1990s.
I'll tell you what, if they let him, I don't know how often you've watched the promos he's cut for the app, the like backstage pass promos.
Yeah.
They're killer, man. They're so good. If they let him do that, and it's obvious it's not scripted and it's just him just doing his thing, improving, and man, if they let him do that on TV, like, I mean,
and by his
help
character, I mean his look more than anything.
Oh.
Because he's got all the skills.
I don't know, dude.
Wrestle most people. He's got good mic work, but he looks
awesome.
He looks very mid-90s.
He looks amazing.
No.
Because he used to be part of the Spirit Squad and looked like a tool.
I did see. I was at that pay-per-view, Spirit Squad against the DX Return.
Which one was that?
Vengeance 2006.
Oh, okay.
Vengeance 2006? That's a classic for you.
In Flair Country in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Woo.
So we're all
in agreement on this one.
We all
Miz
agree on
is going to
Miz.
retain.
Okay.
That's a sad agreement. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and move on to this match because I want to get it out of the way. Stephanie McMahon versus Brie Bella. Someone please take this away from me.
I will say that no matter who wins, I am Team Stephanie because Brie Bella is just terrible.
Oh my god! That segment was painful.
Her acting is, even by wrestling standards, is just, and her emphasis on the
wrong words,
the last word of every sentence.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're just a stone cold bitch. Like, just the last word of every sentence is just.
Here's my thing.
Yelling.
I think that we're going to get the Nikki Bella heel turn during this match.
Yeah, I could see that. Definitely.
And it's going to lead to Stephanie McMahon winning, which Stephanie McMahon should win this match. Because
the heel work Stephanie McMahon's been doing this year has been phenomenal.
Oh,
yeah. Amazing.
Totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Some of the best in the business right now. Her and Triple H are playing off each other very well, but her by herself is still really, really, really good.
Like, really, before the whole authority thing, I would have never thought I'd be saying that Triple H and Stephanie McMahon are the most entertaining part of the show, but they absolutely are, in my opinion. When they come out, man, it's just almost without fail, they are on top of it. Like, they have upped their heel game immensely in the last year.
And you know what we have to thank for Triple H? The new generation.
Oh, here we go again.
Just saying.
Hunter Hearst Helmsley, the Connecticut Blue Blood, Chris.
Yeah.
Hey,
but before we move on from this match, we're going to throw this over to Brian. Brian, this is the twin wrestler phenomena. Who do you have this with, Stephanie McMahon or Brie Bella?
I think the twins have got it.
All right, so Brian we have an actual prediction from Brian.
That's excellent.
He's going with Brie Bella. Now, are we all in agreement on Stephanie? Is that what we're saying? Do we think Stephanie is going to win?
Yeah.
All right.
That's two in a row.
2 in a row. We are all in agreement.
All right. Let's move on to I'm going with this one next. Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton in a match over the fact that Reigns cost Orton a title shot. That's the big build-up for this match. Eddie, what do you got?
Old 3 moves Reigns.
Oh, we know how much of a fan Eddie is.
Yeah, Eddie
Exactly
loves Roman Reigns.
I'm already sick of this Roman Reigns push. I'm done with it. I'm so done with it. I wish Daniel Bryan was back and still the champion. That's how done.
Well, I wish that anyway, but not for the same reason you do.
So one thing,
and that says a lot coming from me.
One thing the listeners should know going in is that Eddie does not like Daniel Bryan, whereas Daniel Bryan is possibly my favorite wrestler of all time and has been for many years now.
Oh yeah, Justin has been defending and pushing Daniel Bryan for years. And I'll agree. Daniel Bryan is amazing. So he seems like a genuinely nice guy. That's beside the point.
We're still friends. We're still friends.
That's beside the point. Eddie,
Eddie,
who do you think will win between Roman Reigns and Randy Orton? What's your prediction for this match?
It's Roman Reigns. They're continuing with that push. It's going to happen. They want him for Mania. There's nothing you can do about it.
Well, I agree that I think it'll be Roman Reigns because I think it's setting up Reigns versus Triple H, possibly at Night of Champions. And that's no slight on Randy Orton, but Randy Orton has also been in the main event scene for something like 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
And let me be honest with you, as good of a wrestler as he is, I'm glad that he doesn't have a title shot right now.
Well, I think a lot.
Agreed.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and agree, which makes 3 in a row. I don't see
what is happening.
I don't see any other outcome but Reigns.
Now, if that swerve happens, then it happens.
Just Orton winning?
Yeah, with us being thrown.
I really don't see that happening.
Oh, I agree.
But all right.
I mean, we do have the whole Kane thing hanging in the balance where he's turned in his mask. Where is he at? Has he gone rogue? What exactly is going on there?
What are they doing with his character? That's
Has
the
he
question.
turned into Jacob Goodnight from See No Evil 2?
That is the rumor floating around.
I think Jerry Lawler needed some work done on his teeth, so he went back to his dentistry business.
Isaac D. Yankum. Yes.
No, it's Isaac Yankum DDS.
Yes, that's true. Isaac Yankum DDS. Justin, thanks for the correction.
We never knew his middle name.
We didn't, did we?
No.
Actually, it's Yankum.
Yankum?
It's Yankum.
Is that like?
I do believe that's what Lawler used to say.
Is that like Yakov Smirnoff?
Is he a Russian Jew? Is he from Fiddler on the Roof?
Yes, he's gonna
Isaac
do the barrel
Yankum?
dance. Him and Tevya.
Okay.
Moving on to the match that I am looking forward to the most: Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins in a lumberjack match, which is, my opinion, stupidest stipulation I could think of.
Yeah, that's a pretty bad stipulation. I wish they would have gone with a steel cage or something like that.
I would have gone with a Kennel in Hell match. Lumberjack.
Can they get the blue barred cage back out for this match?
Doubtful.
I know,
but we can always
dream. Justin, who do you have in this? The Lunatic Fringe or Sellout himself?
He bought in.
Oh,
I've got so much praise for Dean Ambrose, but I think in this match it's probably going to be Seth Rollins. It probably won't be clean, but I'm going to say Seth Rollins.
I think that if Seth Rollins does win, there's no way it'll be a clean win. My question is, why is this not a briefcase match? Why is that not on the line? Especially after the amazingly hilarious tactics that Dean Ambrose went to Monday night with pouring the soda and the popcorn and JBL's beloved hat into the briefcase.
Everybody's messing with JBL's hat these days.
Good, that's what he deserves.
Stardust was wearing it, and then he gets smashed into a briefcase.
Alicia Fox had his hat and then also throwing soda. So
yeah,
maybe there's something there.
So Justin, you're going with Rollins. Eddie, who do you have for winning this match, Ambrose or Rollins?
I'm going with Rollins. I want Rollins to win. I don't think it'll be clean. I think this feud's going to be one that continues for a long while.
I agree, and I hope it does. That could be one that I could see them stretching out, because if they can keep it as entertaining as it has been, in my opinion, I think it should go for a long time. I think the idea of Ambrose keeping him from cashing in, I mean, they could go for a while.
I could even see like the next pay-per-view even being Rollins against someone else, and then Ambrose coming in and costing the match.
And I could
stuff like that to keep some wind in it.
I could still see them doing a ladder match for the briefcase, maybe not a champions,
which I would like to see. Actually, yeah. I think that'd be a great match, especially with their spots that happened in the Money in the Bank ladder match with those two. I'm going to regretfully say that Rollins takes this match. I don't think that it'll be a clean win. I think that maybe, either way, I think both guys will come out looking strong. It's not going to be like they bury Ambrose or anything, as much as I hate to see him lose. So let's move on to the main event of the evening. John Cena versus Brock Lesnar.
That was a terrible Paul
Heyman.
Foregone conclusion. Everybody knows what's going on.
Is it?
Yeah. It's Lesnar. It's Lesnar.
Yeah.
Isn't Cena going off to film a movie or something for a bit?
He's filming
like
a movie
a role,
right now.
yeah.
I don't think he's leaving.
Well, not like long term, but like for like a couple weeks.
He's been gone. He hasn't been on Raw for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's because he's filming right now, currently.
Yeah.
Man, there's a part of me that is a little afraid that they're going to let Cena go over in this one.
That would make the push that Lesnar got from the being the 1 and the 21-1.
Void, yeah.
Worthless.
It would make absolutely no sense. I mean, you can't you can't recreate the kind of momentum that he has coming off breaking the streak.
And I agree with you guys completely. But this is a guy, Super Santa Cena, who, gets hit by 2 and 3 finishers and just shrugs them off and then hits a person with 1 AA and wins a match in WWE land. Stranger things have happened with Cena.
I'm not saying it can't happen.
I'm
saying
putting it out there that I think that there's a strong possibility.
I think we might see something ugly, much akin to what Lesnar said at the end of his promo this week.
If that's what happens, I'm all for it. And I don't get me wrong, I love Brock Lesnar. A lot of people think he's boring, and they did the right thing by putting Paul Heyman with him.
Who thinks Brock Lesnar is boring?
I see it on the interwebs when we're on
This
the blue
guy
bar.
right here.
This Eddie thinks he's boring.
Jesus Christ.
I think that WWE putting him with Paul Heyman was a great thing because now he doesn't have to talk and he can say something stupid, Paul, which is
That
one of the
being said,
greatest things ever.
I can't stand Lesnar. I'm a Heyman guy.
Okay, so
I'm a
I
huge
want
Heyman
to
guy.
argue the fact that Lesnar cannot talk. Granted, if you give Lesnar a mic on live TV, usually it's not great. But that promo that they're airing about 5 times an episode, he talks like a real person. He talks like a real bully. Like, he just... Man, him saying he's going to leave Cena in a pool of, blood and urine and vomit. Like, dude, you can't make that shit up. That's how he talks. I guarantee that's how he talks.
Let me throw this in here, that if you want to see Lesnar leave Cena in a pool of blood, urine, and vomit, you can pay $9.99 on the network and watch it.
Is Triple H paying you?
Are you getting paid to say that?
You never know.
Are you getting that sweet WWE money?
I wish.
thought they were
My
doing
prediction,
budget
by
cuts.
the way, is Lesnar because that's what I want, fingers crossed. I'm afraid they're going to swerve us with some kind of weird Cena win.
I'm going to say
I'm
Lesnar's
just putting it
going
out
over.
there. Just putting it out there.
It's Lesnar. It's Lesnar.
Yeah. Is that the whole card?
That is the whole SummerSlam card so far. There's the rumor of a fatal 4-way tag match for the pre-show, but that's not been confirmed as of yet. I know that maybe after this podcast airs, they will have put something out there.
Probably
but I'm just not
tomorrow
sure.
night, so probably by the time this goes
Who are the
up.
teams for the Fatal 4-Way?
I'm guessing it would be the Usos, Stardust and Goldust,
Ryback-Axel,
and
Biggie
the Wyatts.
or Biggie and Kofi.
I'm going to say the Wyatts.
Okay.
If that's it, who do you pick?
The twins.
The Twins.
Brian said the Twins.
Brian says the Twins.
That would be the Usos, right?
Brian needs to
Well-
see some Goldust and Stardust.
I would love to
I
see
would
Goldust
love
and
for
Stardust.
the Dust Brothers to take that. That's not my prediction, however.
If indeed that is the match,
I'd say
I'm gonna say
Is that the Cosmic Key? What is the Cosmic Key?
well, the most obvious thing seems the tag titles, but I don't know. It weirds me out that they spent weeks doing those vignettes in that weird room, and then they come back and they lose to Heath Slater. They lose to Slater Gator. Like, I thought they had something big for him.
Yeah, the problem with that is I love Heath Slater
Well, yeah, I love Heath Slater too.
because he's a one-man band again.
I love Heath Slater too, but
And
it
He
doesn't.
is a survivor, if nothing else.
He is.
He's resilient.
And he picked up a win against Seth Rollins.
But come on, Stardust is the best thing going on right now.
Oh,
He
yeah.
really
Well,
is.
Easily.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
He's got the best theme music. He's weird. I don't know. It takes little to woo me.
I just don't think they're going to take the tag titles away from the Usos on a pre-show.
I think they would. They took him away from from Cody and Goldust on a pre-show, and they lost to the fucking Outlaws.
Yeah, that was trash.
That was what, at the Royal Rumble or something.
That was
Elimination Chamber.
that was absolute garbage.
Rumble, I think.
That was hot garbage.
Anything can happen in the WWE, right?
Especially if it's something I don't like.
Yeah, especially if it's something that Justin doesn't like, it will happen on the WWE. That's the SummerSlam card.
All right. So I guess do we want to go ahead and move on into In Your House 1?
Do we want to do that, or do we want to hit a couple more current things that are going on? Because there is quite a bit going on right now.
I would say for time, let's probably go ahead and move on.
Let's do this.
We'll take a couple. We'll discuss some of that next week on that episode.
We're moving on to In Your House 1, which took place in Syracuse, New York on May 14th of 1995.
Which is Mother's Day.
That is correct.
And they really play that up, and it's a little weird.
And
Oh yeah.
let's just say, per my
To say the
notes,
least. to say the least.
Per my notes, they were giving away a house on this pay-per-view as well, which is
We're giving away a house.
which is
Who does that?
Who does that?
Todd Pettengill does that.
I'm going to go ahead and put this out there that I could not stand Todd Pettengill back in the day, and I still don't like him watching these things on the network.
He is the most mid-'90s part of WWE as far as announcing went. Well, Doc Hendricks and him.
Who's on
I'm a Saturday morning Pettengill guy.
Mania?
Any day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mania, Action Zone, you name it.
Yeah, come on.
Can I just go ahead and get out there also my disdain for Doc Hendricks / Michael Hayes? That guy should have never been on commentary, and that someone needed to cut his blonde mullet off. But that's just me. I'm a little opinionated when it comes to him.
You're opinionated about a lot of things.
That's the point of this podcast,
very
isn't
aggressive. Yes, it is.
Also, how good was that rap theme for In Your House?
You know, I tried to find that on YouTube, and I couldn't.
And
I
by
tried to find it for the
By
show.
good, I mean, whoa. Also, the best thing intro-wise, they had that good, weird, old canned promo recap thing going where they obviously had those guys film promos, and they would roll them across the screen in like black and white with a blue tint on them while they were just yelling at the camera, old school yelling promo.
And this is the first, if people didn't know this, the first of the monthly pay-per-views that weren't in the Big Five for the then World Wrestling Federation.
Which was a reaction to WCW and how much competition they were getting from them at the time, because I think it was early 95, late 94, early 95 when WCW started upping their number of pay-per-views.
Yeah.
I don't think they were exactly monthly, but they definitely upped the number.
I think they had moved to something like 8 pay-per-views per year.
And the In Your House pay-per-views were cheaper than the regular pay-per-views. I believe they were $14.95.
I think so,
Yes.
and they were shorter too. I think they were between an hour and a half.
Because this one only ran for like an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, it didn't.
It's supposed to be around 2 hours, but
yeah, it didn't seem very long.
Well, let's go ahead and dive into the first match then of that.
Okay, go right ahead, Eddie.
Jean-Pierre Lafitte.
Oh, we're doing the dark
Bob
matches.
Holly? Is that what we're talking about?
I wasn't going to do the dark match.
I wasn't going to do the dark match, but
because it's not on the pay-per-view,
not on
so
the
I didn't
network.
watch it.
Go for it.
Well, the first actual match on the pay-per-view is Bret Hart versus Hakushi, which a match I remember liking back in the day and had completely forgotten about until probably a couple years ago, maybe just like last year. And I think this is like a really kind of a hidden gem of a match. Like, I really enjoyed this match.
It was much better than, going in cold being expected, because I had forgotten about Hakushi altogether. Can I just say that the lovely stereotypical Asian entrance of Hakushi got me? That's my first note, is this Asian entrance.
Okay, but I think I should note that Hakushi's music is phenomenal.
Oh, absolutely.
It's so good.
And his look is cool too.
It is cool.
I'm guessing they're henna tattoos. Back in the day when you had standard definition television, you couldn't see them coming off of him. But for the first time ever, when I'm watching, I was watching it on the network. I could actually see, for $9.99, I could actually see some of the tattoos coming off of him. So that
I didn't notice
some of the illusions that I was under when I was a child got washed away a little bit.
Well, he had kind of the whole Buddhist pilgrim sort of gimmick going on, and I think WWE has a real bad track record with Asian superstars, including Hakushi. I think Hakushi could have been really big, but I mean, if you look at where he went by '96, he was losing to Barry Horowitz. And like doing stuff with the Body Donnas, like just terrible.
Oh, the body.
All self pat on the back, Barry Horowitz.
Oh man, I miss Barry.
Okay.
So
this match, Bret Hart Hakushi. Bret was scheduled to wrestle 2 matches that night as well. This opening match and a match against Lawler, Jerry the King. That is.
This is the only time he did this either. He wrestled 2 matches on multiple pay-per-views in the 94, 95 for.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, probably the most famous would be WrestleMania 10 with Owen. And Yokozuna.
Yeah, definitely. Just some notes I had. They had the pre-match promo with Bret, and Bret did a really good job of putting Hakushi over. Actually, in that promo, just talking about how good of a wrestler Hakushi was before Bret was going to the ring. I mean,
And he was undefeated before the end of this match.
He was. This was Hakushi's first loss in WWE. I think this is a really good. It's definitely the best match on this pay-per-view, like by a long shot.
You think so? I thought Bulldog versus Owen was really good.
Well, I watched this on the network, and that wasn't on.
That's not on this.
You watched your old VHS tape, didn't you?
Maybe.
You bastard.
Yeah,
Eddie.
see, that's not on the network.
You can't talk about the. If we're going to talk about,
I watched both. I watched both. I'm sorry.
Okay, well,
like I watched it on the network, and I saw that, and it kind of the high definition was a little too much for me, so I went back to the old VCR.
Oh man, well,
Coliseum video.
Well, I didn't see that because it wasn't on the network. I guess I'd pay more than $9.99.
I didn't watch that either because I paid $9.99 to get the network. Also, first of all, Bret Hart coming to the ring. How big of a babyface pop did he get? By the way, that crowd went nuts.
That was a pretty standard mid-90s Bret Hart pop.
Yeah.
Though. He got that reaction everywhere.
It's like sometimes you kind of forget how big a reaction he and like Shawn Michaels were getting at the time. Like,
and how much Vince McMahon kissed Bret Hart's ass. Like he loved Bret Hart.
Let's not get into that because let's not talk about Vince
I love
McMahon
Bret Hart, but man, he kissed his ass
because
so much.
he never kissed Shawn Michaels' ass. Let's not get into that.
Oh, he did too. But I'm just saying he's got a hard on for Bret Hart back in the day.
Well, because he was the one keeping the company afloat.
Oh, absolutely.
After Hogan and Savage and all them left.
Oh, he earned his spot, absolutely. But like, just his announcing for Bret Hart is way over the top back in the day.
And the commentary. A quick note on the commentary: it is Vince McMahon and Doc Hendricks on commentary, and it is almost unlistenable. It's so bad.
Well, because you got Vince McMahon just thunder yelling the entire time, and P.S. Hayes there just contradicting him with everything he says. They never agree on a thing.
Well, I mean, I can
when
see
he was
that.
Doc Hendricks too, he couldn't settle if he wanted to be a bad guy or if he wanted to be a good guy. He was always flip flopping.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Well, I remember as a kid, I didn't think anything about McMahon's commentary because I was just so used to it. I grew up listening to that, and now
it was cartoony.
Now going back, it is it's
rough.
Really over the top.
Okay, we should probably move into the match portion. We're on entrances still, because we are those guys.
I don't think we need to go through every match move by move.
No. Again, Brett has a killer babyface reaction. Just from my notes, it's like the crowd is really behind him for most of this, and also the weird USA chants that happened during this match, even though neither man is from.
Oh, they used to do that when in the Brett and Yoko matches too. Even though one of them is billed as Japanese, even though he's Samoan, and one of them is Canadian.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't really push the Canadian-ness of Bret Hart until later on.
Yeah. I mean that's true, but he was still billed from Canada. It didn't.
I mean, it's like Roddy Piper. I mean, how many smart fans know that he's from Canada?
No, he's from Scotland, Eddie.
Brian. Brian did not know.
Right?
Hold on, Brian.
Our producer Brian did not know that he is from Canada.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Did you think he was from Scotland?
He has special sunglasses.
Yes, Brian has seen They Live.
What?
Brian has astutely observed that Roddy Piper had special sunglasses from They Live.
Phenomenal movie, by the way.
I am so lost right now.
It's okay.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. That match. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that Bret Hart wins with a random roll-up on that match. No sharpshooter.
I think that was probably a wise decision. Well, in retrospect, Hakushi didn't really go anywhere, but I think they were probably trying to protect Hakushi and do kind of a fluke win instead of having him tap out to the sharpshooter, which was a good idea if they had continued, a significant push for Hakushi. And
there were a lot of no wins or quick win finishes like that back in the mid '90s in the new generation.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Tons and tons. It was like they were afraid to put anybody over.
Yeah.
At one point, it's like, we might use this guy at one point. Let's not give somebody a clean win. It was a very strange time for wrestling.
No, you're absolutely right. I noticed that when I go back and watch 94 and 95, it's a lot of stuff like that. So
let me mention that after the match, they had you stay tuned because the winners were coming to the room to talk to you on the 900 number, the 1-900 WWE number that existed back then. And then you have Pettengill and some Stephanie woman who is touring, quote unquote, the house that they're giving away. Does he remember who the Stephanie woman was?
I don't, but I would like to talk about the fact that they kind of act like the house is in the arena. Like, she comes out the door and was like, I was just checking out the house.
But that's
like,
not...
are we supposed to believe that the house is sitting in the arena? Like, I didn't understand that.
Yeah, like...
I also didn't understand why all the ballots needed to be put in a gigantic armored truck with a police escort.
And I was watching the Action Zone episodes coming up to this, and the Raw episodes leading into the pay-per-view too. They were like, "Yeah, this is a live shot of the ballot in an armored truck. We've got live footage of it." I'm like, "Okay."
Like, they got like helicopters and stuff.
Why do you need an armored truck for ballots? Lord.
That just shows how desperate they were for some publicity back then.
And giving away a glamorous prefabricated house in sunny Orlando, Florida.
And apparently the kid didn't even keep it. He sold it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, he lived like far away. They did a follow-up story on it a couple years ago, I think in 2012 on WWE.com.
Oh, okay. All right, well, that's cool.
Yeah, didn't even live in it, sold it, and I think he used it for like his college fund or something like that.
Oh, well, that's cool.
You know, it's not the worst
Very
thing.
cool.
Well, the second match is...
We should, by the way, one more quick note. As Brett is getting out of the ring, he appears, quote-unquote, to injure his knee. So we've got that leading into his second match with Jerry Lawler later on. So that's my only other thing about that.
The second match on the card on the network is Jeff Jarrett with the Roadie, quote unquote, which is the Road Dogg, versus the bad guy, Razor Ramon. It was supposed to be a tag team match with Razor Ramon and the 1-2-3 Kid versus Jarrett and the Roadie, but the 1-2-3 Kid is
he was
hurt.
out with an injury. Yeah.
Right. So they get him via telephone, in quotations, which means that Sean Waltman was probably in the back.
That was typical back in the day. On the early Raws, they had so many telephone interviews that were just terrible.
Well, it was a legit injury, though.
Right.
Oh yeah, this was a legit injury, but back in the day, they used to have very many, like a lot of fake telephone interviews.
Yeah, I was just commenting on the telephone interview of them talking to him and Razor being like, "You get well, kid." You know, like I was like, "Win one for the Gipper." You know, I expected that to come out at any point. Let me just say, by the way, that Scott Hall owned the Razor Ramon character, and that everything he did was awesome, and that when he came out, he got a John Normo pop as well. Like, those people went crazy.
I really feel like if he had stuck around, he would have been world champion.
Oh, absolutely.
Like 100%.
WCW made him lazy.
Yeah, well,
it allowed him to be lazy, really.
Yeah.
When he was in WWF and he had to fight for a spot, he was one of the best workers.
Yeah.
Easy.
So this is a handicap match with Jarrett and the Roadie. Jarrett is the Intercontinental Champion at the time, but obviously this is not a title match. I thought it was interesting that they had Jarrett take the pin. I would think they would have the Roadie take the pin if Razor was going over. That didn't really make any sense to me, but
no.
I think it was kind of a forgettable match. There wasn't. I mean, you had some hints at the Road Dogg persona, you know, his little gestures and stuff that he would really amplify in a couple years. But kind of other than that, it was just sort of a forgettable match. I don't remember a whole lot except for the end when you have a run-in by someone I inexplicably loved as a kid. I don't know why. I think I just like the colors. Aldo Montoya, who gets beat down. I don't know.
You mean Justin Credible?
Yes. And then, probably most importantly, you had the debut of Savio Vega at the end of the match in street clothes. I think Savio Vega was very underrated.
Savio Vega is a great wrestler.
He had some good moves.
He had some great matches in general. They weren't on this card. My favorite thing was them playing up their old Cuban buddies, Razor Ramon and Savio Vega.
Sure, yeah.
And, you mean the Los Boricuas?
And talking about Mama Ramon, which was the best thing ever, Mama Ramon. How good is that? Also, just one side comment, has Road Dogg always had stupid hair? Is that like his thing?
Yes, he has.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, I just don't remember him being that ridiculous, but maybe it's because I was younger.
He was, and he is.
Yeah.
And will always
okay,
be.
I just wanted to get that out there. Obviously, Razor took that match. And then after that match, they went to Barry Dudinsky in the crowd with his one-size-fits-all Bret Hart t-shirt. Funniest cutaway ever.
They did those all the time back then. He was the merch guy.
Oh yeah.
Because
yeah.
this was before web stores were really prevalent. So
I just thought
it
the
was,
one size fits
always wanted
all.
to order.
The one size fits
the
all
all over
shirt.
team.
Yeah.
The all over team.
Yes.
Because it's all over.
And also after that match, they had that really good video package for Psycho Sid.
Yes.
That like didn't. It was just his music and like just with footage of him turning on HBK and him attacking Razor through the fireworks, like jumping through the fireworks and attacking him. And it was just that his awesome entrance music. And I thought that was a really cool video package. It was dramatic as shit.
Oh yeah, his music was awesome.
Which I think is what we're going to close the show out with today. I talked to Brian, so I think we're going to close out the show with Psycho Sid's awesome music.
Moving on, the next match was Mabel versus Adam Bomb.
Match of the night, guys.
King of the Ring qualifier match.
Well, this is the beginning of the Mabel push.
It is
right here.
What's weird to me about that though is how hard Vince was trying to put over the Bomb Squad, like Adam Bomb's like supposed fan section.
You know,
he would throw out Nerf footballs with
Yeah.
his name on them to the crowd after his matches if he won.
Like I'm going to be totally honest with you. I was watching religiously at this time, and I really don't remember face Adam Bomb until I saw this. Like I just remember him with Harvey Whippleman.
Yes, that's what I kept thinking. I was like, "Where's Harvey?"
I remember he like inexplicably turned face. There was no reasoning behind it. They didn't even show him in I don't think Whippleman getting in a fight or anything. It just I think they needed a good baby face, and they turned him face, and he kind of fizzled out.
Also, let me interject here one more time.
Or him and Canyon got together.
Oh,
yeah.
This is the high point of Vinnie Mac never using a pronoun. Adam Bomb this, Adam Bomb that. Never once will he use a pronoun in his commentary. He said the proper noun constantly in this match, as short as this match was, because this match lasted for what?
2 minutes.
2 minutes at the most.
Yeah, he just squashes Adam Bomb, wins with like a power slam. So this is I think one of the first King of the Ring qualifying matches for that year, and like Eddie said, the beginning of the completely inexplicable Mabel push, which would lead to Diesel versus Mabel at SummerSlam, which would just make us long for the days of Diesel versus Sid. Like, it makes Diesel versus Sid look like a technical masterpiece.
And I honestly believe that Kevin Nash isn't that bad of a wrestler. I think he's a pretty decent wrestler for a big guy. He was up against some really, really bad competition at this time.
No,
Mabel and Sid being the chief amongst them.
Yeah,
chief offenders.
I tend to agree with you on that.
That's
all I have to say about that match.
Yeah, after that match was the most amazing introduction of Savio Vega by Razor Ramon with "Say hello to Savio Vega." That's all you need. That's how we got Savio Vega. That's all you need.
I think this should be a recurring thing on the podcast. Should be Eddie's terrible impressions.
Chris's terrible impressions.
Oh yes, Chris's terrible impressions. You've already got a bad
looking one. I'm the better looking one, Justin.
Okay,
that's why we're on radio.
We've already gotten a bad Paul Heyman impression. Now we've got a bad Razor Ramon impression.
Do what I can to do bad impressions, guys. That's my.
You want to hear my Razor Ramon impression?
Do it.
You want to hear it? Are you ready? Hey yo.
That was pretty good. That's pretty good.
Thank you.
Fourth match.
If I couldn't see you, I would think that was Scott Hall.
Fourth match on the card was the Smoking Guns with 2 N versus Owen Hart and Yokozuna, who were the tag champs at the time.
I think that
with two managers.
Two managers.
Yes.
I think that Camp Cornette was kind of a very underrated stable. That and the $1 Million Corporation. People always talk about the best stables. We think, DX, the NWO, the Four Horsemen. I really think, particularly the $1 Million Corporation, there's some very underrated stables in the mid-90s. I mean, you had a lot of pretty good mid-card talent. At this point, I feel like Owen especially should have been a main eventer. After his matches with Brett in '94, he should have been in the world title picture and not relegated to the tag division.
The fact that he never won the world title is just, it's a travesty.
I feel like they really dropped the ball. So, like into '94 into '95, he should have at least had some sort of run with the title. Yokozuna, I feel like they kind of were losing trust in him because they billed him as I know he was putting on weight. Even at they were billing him as over 600 pounds. I don't know how true that is, but I know he did eventually get real heavy. So Not sure they trusted him with a main event program at this point, but that's kind of the feeling I get, is that they didn't really trust him with that, but they wanted to keep him around and keep him somewhat relevant.
However, I will say one of my notes from this match is how good Yokozuna was selling stuff when he was in the ring.
Yokozuna was, for as big a dude as he is, he was good. I really think he was good for as huge a guy as he is, especially in his 93, 94. Dude could move. Like
he was selling everything that the Guns were dishing out. By the way, the Guns, I feel like, were WWE's answers to the current country music craze in the 90s, because those guys look like they came right out of...
that and Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, right out of a crappy CMT video from the time. Also,
but back to Yokozuna, he did have an incredible standing sidekick, too, for a really, really large man.
Yeah,
But
I don't know how his one leg held the rest of them up.
Let's also
a big old ham.
Get back to the fact that Owen Hart was a genius in the ring, and that I just have nothing bad to say about Owen Hart. I miss that guy.
Well, you probably wouldn't. I don't have anything bad to say about. He couldn't really cut a promo, but I'm not going to speak ill of the dead, I suppose. But if we're being honest,
in
his
the
promos
ring,
are terrible.
Justin, enough is enough, and it's time for a change.
God, yeah, I like that Owen Hart too.
In the ring, Owen Hart was amazing. That's all.
Eddie is striking poses. Also, you can't see it, but he's striking poses.
Speaking of Camp Cornette, Jim Cornette selling like Ric Flair when he takes a shot from Billy Gunn at the end of this match. Like Cornette just fish flopping everywhere. Like, oh man, that's Cornette at his best right there with that tennis racket and just that was great.
I shook his hand once at a restaurant. End of story.
That was a good story, Eddie.
Let me segue by saying that the winners of this match were Owen Hart and Yokozuna.
It was before WrestleMania 27. It was cool.
And that and continuing my tirade of not listening to Eddie, that it was a weird rush ending per my notes. So I don't know about that. It just seemed like a really just all of a sudden the match was over.
Well, I think it was Bart kind of took a weird looking nasty bump. Like he tried to do a crossbody and he missed, and then he went through the ropes and hit the outside. It kind of looked like it was maybe not intentional. So I don't know if they kind of just finished it real quick or not. I mean, I don't think he got hurt or anything, but it looked weird. So maybe there was something to that.
Okay, let's move on to the next match.
Do you have something you'd like to say?
Yeah, go ahead, Eddie.
Chris is really dominating.
I was going to make a Brawl for All reference.
Nice.
But we can keep going.
Well, no, just let's talk about Brawl. No, whatever.
No, we're not going to talk about Brawl for All.
I just wanted to get to this point in my notes because I know that Justin and I have the same thing in our notes, because we are talking about Jerry Lawler's quote unquote mom, because that is right after the.
Okay, so basically this takes place on Mother's Day.
Oh, we know.
It is.
What do you think?
Jerry Lawler brings out a very attractive 20-something-year-old woman in a black dress and just acts like she's his mom. And I don't know what the point of it was.
Was Kevin Dunn working for WWE at this point?
Oh, God.
Because he had to have had a hand in this.
Here we go.
Yeah, here we go. With the Kevin Dunn circle jerk. No. Okay. No, now I've lost track of what I was talking about.
Yeah, she acts like a flighty.
Yeah, and he's
person.
and like she gives him a kiss on the cheek, and it's like this weirdly sexual undertone. Like I don't know, like what was the point of it?
I was confused.
There was no point. They didn't follow it up at all.
What was it supposed to be?
Creepy.
Well,
good job. Played.
Good job. Okay, so creepy, hot Jerry Lawler mom action, I guess.
and the whole reason this happened is because Bret Hart has dedicated the match to his mom, Helen Hart, because it is Mother's Day.
By the way,
I don't know why that makes Jerry Lawler, have feelings toward his 20-year-old mother, but whatever, Vince McMahon, whatever.
Moving on.
Well, the next match is Bret Hart versus Jerry Lawler, Bret's second match of the night. And as Justin has alluded to before, after Bret's first match, he seemingly sustains a knee injury getting out of the ring.
And throughout the pay-per-view, Lawler is trying to get the match to happen immediately, trying to capitalize on what he thinks to be an injured Bret Hart.
Classic Lawler.
Oh, yeah.
That was good. Vintage Lawler right there.
That was vintage.
Oh yeah,
Lawler.
I mean putting him on the announce table at the time, because that's the beginning of having him be there permanently at the announce table, and getting to voice his opinions about that feud during Raw and everything really built this match to be something.
And man,
that feud lasted for a long time, from like 93 through 95, right?
Yeah, a long time, because it started at King of the Ring 93, I believe. Well, let's there's not much to this match. Hakushi and Shinja interfere. Basically Brett was playing possum with the knee injury, beats up Lawler for a while, and then the ref gets hilariously tied up in the ropes. It was just a ridiculous spot.
Real poorly.
Yeah. And then at one point gets back in and clearly sees what's going on and just has to sort of act like he doesn't see it.
Like my shoelace is untied. I don't know. I have to not see this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lawler wins via Hakushi interfering. And
this leads to one of the greatest matches in World Wrestling Federation history.
A true classic.
Kiss My Foot match. The Kiss My Foot match.
Kiss My Foot match.
At King of the Ring, 1995.
Oh my.
Which would
great
then
vignettes by Lawler. Great vignettes by Lawler.
Which would then lead, after that, into the introduction of our favorite Fiddler on the Roof, Isaac Yankem. Yankem.
Here we go, full circle again, guys.
All right, we're bringing it back around.
So the main event of this In Your House 1 pay-per-view is Sid, do not call him Psycho Sid because he doesn't like that, versus Diesel, who is the heavyweight champion at the time.
And this match, I guess the biggest thing that happened from this match is that Diesel was injured during it, and he was had to have, was it elbow surgery, and he was out until SummerSlam, or no, not SummerSlam, but In Your House 2, maybe.
Yeah, because they were at In Your House 2, wasn't it? Him and Bam Bam versus Sid and Tatanka.
I think so.
Because
so he took a really sloppy powerbomb, I believe.
Yes, he really did. That was a very sloppily executed powerbomb.
Boy, this match is just a barn burner, guys. I'll tell you what. It's just slow and lumbering.
If you guys could see Justin's face right now when he says barn burner.
It's just punches and kicks, and then
it's a very long 11 minutes.
And I'm not even going to call this a hoss fight, because normally hoss fights, as JR would
imply a hoss fighting.
Yeah. It was not a lot of wrestling is what my notes say here. Not a lot of wrestling. Lots of punches and double axe handles, which is Eddie's favorite move of all time, the double axe handle.
Well, let's not forget the rest holds. There's a lot of rest holds.
There's a ton of rest holds.
Well, I mean, this is Sid's first, long match. And how long? A long time. Since Sid Justice days, I think.
Oh.
On a big stage.
Speaking of rest holds, there's some kind of modified camel clutch that Sid locks, quote unquote, in on Diesel for legitimately 2 to 3 minutes, with him just locked in a camel clutch and Diesel struggling to get out.
I also noticed that Sid dominates this match until the very end. Hits Diesel with his powerbomb. I'm guessing the sloppy powerbomb you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And then instead of going, oh, I hit him with my finisher, he's laying there motionless. Instead of pinning him and winning the title, he poses for what seems like 10 minutes. He just works the crowd, and then he goes in for a cover, and surprise.
He is the master and the ruler of the world.
He is the master and ruler of the world. He was mastering and ruling. He had to take some time out to master and rule.
You got an impression for that, Chris?
No.
Would you like to do a Psycho Sid impression?
I have no Sid impressions because those are so priceless that I can never touch them.
I'm a little shocked.
That's your job between now and next episode is work on your Psycho Sid impression.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you about it next week.
Must say that there was a run-in by Tatanka at the end of this match, and it caused the DQ finish because Tatanka was part of the $1 million
corporation.
He had been bought off. So let's just sum up this pay-per-view in general. Per my notes, there was no Undertaker, no Shawn, and no Jim Ross on this pay-per-view. Obviously.
Undertaker fought in a dark match, though.
Shawn Michaels didn't come back until after.
Right.
Yeah, he was gone
right after this.
This was a pay-per-view without them, which to some people, people who watched wrestling back then, is kind of a strange thing to not see these guys on, like Undertaker wrestling a dark match, not on the main pay-per-view itself.
Well, like we've said, I mean, this is a really weird time. This is like 95 had to be one of the more transitional years because they were really trying to make a star out of Diesel. You had guys right on the cusp like Razor, and you had Brett, who's inexplicably, he's not champion all year. Diesel's pretty much, I think he wins it back at Survivor Series,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, Diesel gets a very strange push, like at the end of '94, just inexplicable, like turns babyface.
Yeah,
then he has
they just pushed him to the moon.
Oh yeah.
The way, I mean, like, the weirdness of the time, Bam Bam Bigelow is the equalizer to come in and, once Tatanka runs in for the DQ. And not
another almost inexplicable babyface turn for him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there was a lot of those. Even Shawn Michaels' babyface turn was real random.
And see, I didn't I didn't like this era of HBK, this kind of neutered babyface, between, after his because he was still heel at Mania, correct?
He was heel at Mania. Then the next night, him and Psycho Sid come out. They talk about it, blah, blah, blah. He's like, for the rematch, he's like, you can take the night off. And he pats Sid on the chest, and he's going to walk off. And he comes back and gives him a couple power bombs. Very sloppy power bombs.
That's right. I remember that.
Like, they are some of the worst power bombs I've ever seen. Diesel ends up running in. Then all of a sudden, Shawn's babyface.
Right.
Although I will disagree a little bit. Shawn was interesting as a babyface at this time because he was still doing some like bad guy things that were getting him babyface cheers, which wasn't normal for that time.
That was his first real run as a babyface outside of the Rockers, wasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Well, do we have anything else we want to say about In Your House 1?
I don't think so. It was a strange time in WWE, which we've commented on. That was again the first non-big four pay-per-view event, for the first of the monthly pay-per-views. I should say, not first non-big four. That was a little weird. Next time out on the next podcast, we'll be covering another classic.
Eddie, have you Eddie, have you decided what pay-per-view we're doing for the next episode?
Yes, I wanted to pick something different, but it is SummerSlam next week.
Yep.
Right? SummerSlam next week. So we're going to go with a little SummerSlam Heart and Soul 1997.
All right. Sounds good. So next week,
97.
Next week, SummerSlam 97, Undertaker versus Bret Hart. And
with HBK as the special guest referee.
Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one.
Oh, I think that's one of the first really great Undertaker matches.
Yeah. No,
I'll agree with that.
I would tend to agree. Okay, so Brian is going to play the contact info, and I guess next week we will be back with SummerSlam 1997
on the Blue Barred Cage.
Thank you so much for listening to our first episode, and we will see you next week.
See you later.
To contact us, search for and like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at BlueBardCage, or send us an email at bluebardcage@gmail.com. Our intro music is provided by 16-Bit Themes, and our show is produced by Brian Wakefield. Blue Bard Cage is part of the Peachy Pants Podcast Network.
Check this out, Brian.
Peachy Pants.
Peachy Pants. Brian is a bad scientist.
Invent something, you idiot.